Anyway, we should get started. I'm all ready to go now.
Me as well. So, let's get Gucci, give Gucci to Gochi. There it is.
Gucci to Gochi is more accurate than usual.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because of Hironobu, we're gonna get Hironobu Sakaguchi to Gochi.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Dope. So we're Hironobu Sakaguchi to Gochi.
Main. God, I'm glad that I say the awful things. And then make y'all say them.
Yeah. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I'm Maddie, and I'm back to cause problems on purpose.
Yay.
Excellent.
Like everyone's favorite goose. Honk.
And today we'll be playing Part 3 of Lost Odyssey, which is up until we finish Disc 1, also known as the Sad Episode.
Oh my fucking god, it's the sad episode.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I'm sorry to my boy Lavitz, but this is the saddest episode of saddest end of a disc in JRPG history.
I did not get a permission slip for this feels trip. Not okay with it.
I've seen these scenes like 3 times, and it's like you walk into a house and the characters are like, we're some characters you just met. Come into our house and stay the night. This is a normal JRPG trope. And then it's like, wham!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just the most feelings you've ever had for a straight hour.
Yeah, it's so good. But before we get into the meat of that, how was everyone's week?
I had a pretty uneventful week, except that I finished the main story quest for Shadowbringers in Final Fantasy. Oh my god, it's so good.
Did it continue being amazing?
Yes. I'm so glad that I finally started paying attention to the story, because it's incredibly good. And like I normally rush to max level because max level is where all the stuff is. Like that's how you get the power. That's how
the real Dark Souls.
Yeah. That's how you gain the power. That's how you get the gear. That's how you get the pretty shinies. But like, it was actually really nice just taking my time and leveling 2 classes in tandem with each other, because if I had done Bard all the way to 80 and then had to do White Mage, I would have been like, gonna wait. So like, I would level Bard up 1 level, and then I would bring White Mage up a level, and then I would continue with the main story. Just so good. The final fight for the main story content was incredible. Yeah, it was really good. The Crystal Exarch is my husband. Yeah. So if you have the time to play an MMO, Final Fantasy XIV is really,
that's
really
just
good.
how it fucking goes.
Yeah.
That's that. You always gotta preface it with that bullshit sentence.
I know. I mean, and I will say too, I still love WoW, but right now I'm just really, I get really deep in the paint with certain games.
Yeah.
I honestly do see myself biting the bullet on FF14 eventually. I think it'll happen at some point.
Well,
especially because it's weathered the storm of being an MMO that's not WoW twice now and is still around and kicking, and this new one everyone says is great. So I think it'll actually stick around.
it weathered.
Also, it's an inspirational story about how it actually sucked, and instead of just trying to like fix it incrementally, like, oh, we're sorry, we're trying to fix it, they were like, they didn't get seriously. They were just like, oh fuck, like, this does, like, we're gonna completely remake this fucking game and do it better this time.
I was gonna say it weathered the.
How'd you make Tabata?
It weathered the
He's
We're
awesome.
Not WoW storm so hard that it actually had to redo the game from the ground up. Like, I kind of wish I'd played in 1.0 because I want the cool little perks that come with being one of the original players. Like, they get a special tattoo, and I think there's some other stuff that they get, but it's really neat. But I started in the Realm Reborn beta. And at the same time, I'm glad that I started then, because I don't think I would have stuck with Final Fantasy XIV if I had played during 1.0.
Yeah, so...
You know what's funny? They didn't just weather the We're Not WoW storm. They also weathered the We're Not FF11 storm.
It's true, yeah.
Because FF11 is stupendously beloved.
And it's still going.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
So I only was tangentially paying attention to the Realm Reborn stuff when it was happening, and all I knew about it was Trey Huffstedler, my old roommate and fellow Blizzard employee. Mm-hmm. It was his favorite MMO. Like when the 1.0 came out, he was like, "Oh no, this is my shit," and he played the crap out of it. So then, finding out all of this stuff later, I'm like, wait, that's still going? This was it just feels so super old to me, because I was tangentially involved way back in 1.0 when nobody else was.
Right.
There's a...
MMO sure do go on for a long time.
Yeah.
When did WoW launch? 06?
04.
04, yeah.
Fucking Christ.
This is the 15th anniversary.
That's too long.
Which means your Christmas present is probably going to own, because the 10th was awesome, and then all the ones that I got were little trinkets.
Yeah.
And I was mad because Jasmine McElroy, by the way, they are a Jasmine now and not an Alex, which is cool.
Really?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I meant to say it before, but yeah, cool.
Congrats, Jasmine.
Yeah, so Jasmine McElroy started right before I did, and got the awesome WoW hoodie for the 10-year, and then I was like, all right, well, what are they going to give us next year? And it's
Jasmine.
It's just it was a power bank was all I got the next year, which is really cool.
Power bank is the one gift that I still use all the time.
I use it a lot. It's a really good power bank. It's beefy as heck, and it outputs at 3 amps, so it can charge a Switch. So it's legit, but it's not a kick-ass hoodie. And so it's just oh, but
if someone has a crush on Jasmine and you want to rib this person for it, you can go, "You like jazz?"
I will also say that Final Fantasy XIV is on 9 years now, so they're getting up there as well. And
it's nuts.
Yeah, they deserve all the praise that they get, because
that's awesome.
It's really, really good.
Yeah. But what about you, Maddie? How was your week?
I had a pretty eventful 2 fucking weeks. I don't know. A lot of goddamn bullshit happened. I went on a date that was real nice, and then I got robbed, which was real not nice. And I thought that my hormones had been robbed, but then they weren't, so I freaked out for a little bit about that. Basically, I left my purse in my car, which I know you shouldn't do. That's stupid. But I didn't think about it because it was my backup purse. Mm-hmm. My main purse that had the important items in it was with me, so I didn't think that this other purse that also had some important items in it shouldn't just be left out. Also, they got my wallet. Now, that wasn't even that stupid. That wasn't even I left it in my other purse. That would have been really stupid. I think it must have just fallen out of my purse while I was getting out of, you know what I mean? It must have just fucking happened. I don't know. But the purse, though, again, didn't have any essentials, but it had some makeup that cost a decent chunk of change. Most items of makeup are $8-9, but it did have a perfume bottle that probably cost $30.
Dang.
Which sucks. So I got to replace that shit. Also, most importantly, it's my favorite purse. It's an important fashion item. It's red. Basically, I'm always the most fat. I think I've mentioned before. No, I think it was the other podcast I mentioned this. Sometimes I feel I don't want. Okay, I was gonna say I don't want to be cisphobic, but actually, yes, I do. Fuck them. No, but I don't know. Sometimes when I'm at work, I'm just Am I the only one here? Meme. Am I the only one here who gives a shit about fashion? But like, look, most of my fashion sense is just the fact that my purse and my belt are the same color. That's basically all I've got going on. So without a purse that exact shade of red, I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? So that sucks. Other than that, speaking of, Eli mentioned the crystal eggs. Speaking of games that are really good and eggs, I've been playing Yoshi's Crafted World. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. It's like the best Yoshi game.
Aw.
Nice.
Straight
That's awesome.
up. I mean, I was thinking it's the second best Yoshi game, which is not that high of praise because there's one good Yoshi game. But it's fucking great. I could go on all day, and I won't, but I could.
That's because you just like obscure Nintendo games.
Yes, obscure Nintendo games like a Yoshi game that had a commercial on TV.
Yes.
Anyway, it's great. And then in 2 days? What day is it? Okay, yes. 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I got my days wrong. Thursday is my birthday.
Yay!
So that's fun. No one has mentioned it to me to ask, what do you want for your birthday? Not even my parents, which is funny. Usually I get a text around here saying, what do you want for your birthday? And I'm just like, wow, nothing, huh? But I am far too busy to try to throw myself a party or anything like that. Maybe I'll try to get dinner together. I do know that some of my very close friends are very, very busy and kind of booked up this weekend, so I can't really do anything with those close friends. Mm-hmm. But maybe the following weekend I can have something. Oh, so my birthday is on Thursday, and then my trans birthday is on Sunday.
Nice.
So, back to back. And the anniversary of my last haircut is on Saturday.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Speaking of birthdays, I told my mom not to listen to our podcast because I don't want her to hear all the terrible things I say on here. But
that's not
same.
you. It's the goddammit ghost. We established this in like episode 1.
Yeah, you're right. Shout outs to my mom whose birthday was yesterday, and also shout outs to Wendy Roby whose birthday was also yesterday.
Nice.
Happy birthday to y'all.
Yes.
Anyway, that's basically it. Other than that, I played a lot of Lost Odyssey, I played a lot of Yoshi, I played a lot of Higurashi.
Speaking of...
All those games end in she.
Yes.
Or C, if you're Lost Odyssey. But I have a slight long S, what's it called? Speech impediment, so there you go. They're all the same.
So speaking of days that happen annually, this last week was mine and Summer's anniversary.
Congratulations.
We've been married for 4 years.
4 years? Which one is that? That's the...
Oh, I don't know. That's stuff for white people.
I know, I was just joking.
But Sam, you are a white people.
Yeah, but I don't live with white people. So what we
it's
did...
the Homestuck anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll make Summer read the Homestuck. So what we did is we went to the safari down in New Braunfels, San Antonio area, and it was amazing. Scarlett was having a whole blast, and then we got to watch 2 different ostriches turn their butts to us and poop on the road, and it was the highlight of my whole week.
Oh my god, that's like cheese. That's like when my parents talk about when we were at the zoo when I was a kid and all the deer pooped at once.
That's
Coordinated
amazing.
pooping.
But,
all right. Well, I guess you got to entertain yourself somehow. All right, guys, on 3.
But the best part about the ostrich pooping is, so the ostriches are the scariest part of the safari, because if you open your window, they will just stick their entire long ass neck into your car, and then you're like, okay, what do I do here? And so Summer was like, I'm going to face my fears, and I'm going to feed this ostrich. So she rolls down her window, and the ostrich is walking over, and then, of course, it's a terrifying giant bird, and she's like, no, and she rolls it up. So I'm videotaping the whole time, trying to catch Summer facing her fears on it. And so because I'm videotaping and she rolls it up, she's like, I got too nervous. And then over her shoulder, you see the ostrich just turn around and just take a dump. And it's my favorite video I've ever shot. And I shot a movie.
That rules.
Oh my god.
It's great.
Parents are weird.
Yeah. So let's stop laughing and start crying and listen to some Nobuo Uematsu music. Since I wasted all the sad ones from yesterday, not knowing what was ahead of or last week.
I mean, there's more sad ones.
True, but I'll probably put in the battle theme. I haven't done that one yet, and the battle theme it's weird. Like, I don't know if I like it, but I like it.
Actually, you should play the entire battle theme from the soundtrack up until where it like actually starts, and then we can comment on why that's funny.
Yes, it's so good. But yeah, let's get started.
Battle theme, like on YouTube or something?
No, just in battle.
Well, you will when you go to edit this podcast.
Yeah.
The actual version of the song, the intro is like a fucking minute.
That's amazing.
And clearly they were like, Nobu, you can't write the battle intro that long. It has to get to the actual good part before the actual battle is over. And he's like, yeah, I'm not rewriting it. So when the battle that thing that you hear when you actually play, it's like they cut out like 30 seconds.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like when it goes, what's the main melody where it's like, darn it?
I don't know, it's Tubular Bells. It's good.
Well, when the string melody comes in, yeah, that's the beginning of the loop, and that's you just missed 40 seconds of music.
That's amazing.
It's hilarious. It's one of my favorite little things.
But yeah, so right when we start, so it's like they gave us a save point basically in between two cutscenes, so that we could have a save point in between these cutscenes, and that's it. And so right as you walk out, you then get a meanwhile and see that it was Kakanis's idea to let the party go. So him being like bitchy to you 5 seconds ago was a ploy, because everyone has a ploy in this entire game. He told the queen to let the party go so that his people could follow them and see what they're up to, because they're definitely spies. And then, in true villain fashion, he basically is like, I'm going to depose you, Ming, because isolationism is bad and military might is good. So instead of just minding our own damn business like we've done for the past 1,000 years, I'm going to go and attack people so that they are scared of us, so they don't attack us, because that's worked for every single military in history.
He's very America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This game actually has a lot of fucking contemporary geopolitics in it. It's pretty surprising.
Yeah. It's like surprisingly really good in that regard. Like normally, like the politics of a JRPG is just Star Wars, and that's okay, because the main part is not about being political. It's about punching a dragon or whatever. And but this one, it's like, oh, this is actually like interesting, and it's like a real thing that's happening, and not just like NPCs muttering, we've been at war with the Empire for like ever, and then you're like, but where's all the battles? There's no.
We have always been at war with the Empire.
Yeah, like Final Fantasy VI, as much as I love it, it like you never once go to like the front lines where there's an actual war with the Empire. You visit both sides, and they're both just like living in JRPG towns. But this one, it's like, oh no, like this is a real war, and there's real stuff going on all the time, and it's cool. But where was I? Yeah, so as he's like monologuing at Ming, she faints for some reason, and it's weird, and I don't really know why. It probably has something to do with the plot revelation we learn about her in a bit, but yeah, it's wild. So, that plot revelation is literally for us playing the game, not for Eli. It's the next thing that happens. You walk outside, and all the NPCs talk about how Ming is an immortal and has been queen for 1,000 years.
Okay.
I want to issue a slight correction. I said earlier that y'all shouldn't read the manual. The reason you shouldn't read the manual, I thought, was because it would spoil why the next two characters to join the party are very interesting, for example. But actually, it doesn't say that. It says who the characters are, but not the part that's a twist.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
it's the same with Ming, who, spoiler alert, joins the party.
At
so the
at the end of this, they say we need to get all four immortals in our party, one of which is Ming.
So right in the manual, it's like, yeah, she's immortal. She's ruled Numara for 1,000 years. So it's not supposed to be a twist, but depending on what NPCs you talk to, it might come off as sort of weird.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Or if you are just watching the cutscenes.
Yeah.
So, I had an interesting playthrough this weekend, and it was weird. So I explore for what I feel is a good bit, but when I get to the port, I take a right because I don't realize that I can take a left, and it puts me out on the world map, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess this was...
I see where this is going.
I'm like, oh, I guess this is just like the last time where we had this whole city to explore, but the main thing you actually had to do was just leave. And so I'm like, okay, well, cool.
Oh, God.
So I go into the Crimson Forest, and I do the whole first half of the dungeon, but there's like a log in my way on one of them, and I can't bust through it. And then on the other side, there's a thing, and it's like, oh, we need somebody who can do spirit magic to be able to get us through here. And so I'm like, okay, that's a hint to go find someone with spirit magic. So I went back expecting to find a shaman the entire rest of this playthrough, which still hasn't happened. I'm guessing Mac might be able to do it, or maybe Ming after she joins the party or something to get those chests. But
that's real funny.
But, so I head back to the city to try and find a shaman, and then I didn't ever do that.
Just so there's not confusion later, Mac can use spirit magic, yes. Okay. Because of the plot events of today, he can now use spirit magic. But actually, you don't need to immediately head back to the forest. In fact, I don't even know if that does things. I'm pretty sure most of the weird stuff in the forest is in-game stuff.
Okay. Cool.
Maybe you can go back right away, but I know when I thought about it. Okay, so the parts that say you need spirit magic, maybe you can do those now. But there's also a weird obelisk in the forest, and you might notice that's the second weird obelisk you've seen in the game so far. That's in-game shit. So just don't. I'm just saying, like, don't worry about it. You don't need to stress out and waste time with it.
Yeah. So I eventually make my way back to the city, and I take a left that time after doing a whole bunch of side quests trying to just make something happen.
Yep.
There's this little girl that plays hide and seek, and she gives you a hint that is bullshit because the hint only makes sense after you find her. But I accidentally found her because I was just fucking around. But so the first time you find her, she's like, "Oh, bet you can't catch me," and then she starts to run away. And as we've established, Kayam runs at 1,000 miles an hour, so you catch her like it's nothing.
So you literally just run over and grab her like right away. It's so fucking funny.
So then the next time she's like, "All right, well now we're going to play hide and seek, and I'll give you a hint. Where I'm going to hide is quote the key," and you're like, okay, well, what's key shaped? Like, is there like a lock building or anything like that? Blah 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 blah. But no,
is this Kingdom Hearts?
So I give up and I just go around and I realize there's a door in the there's an area in the back of the item shop that they don't let me to, but I see a door over the guy's shoulder. So I walk around the outside of the building, walk through the door, and there's the girl. And she's like, yeah, the door was locked, but I opened it with this key. I'm like, that's not a hint. Like, you're the
I just realized
it's not a
Kingdom Hearts.
Shut up. If it helps anymore, they also talk about ki as in the energy a lot in Kingdom Hearts, and then also the big keyblade is called the ki, the Greek letter X blade. So
that's stupid. I hate that. Kingdom Hearts fucking sucks.
It's so good. It's so great. Everyone should play it. Anywho, so I eventually find my way to the city of ruins, where some kids are protecting these flowers. And one of them is Kath Susie, Phil and Lil, and the other one is Mac. And I did not recognize.
That's right. It's fucking Phil and Lil. That's why the voice is so. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
She also did Q-Bird on Futurama,
voice.
and she was the original voice of Bubbles before the Powerpuff Girls became a full series, and then it switched to Tara Strong.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, and also, so I always think that Kath Susie and Tara Strong have been in everything together, but they've actually been in Lost Odyssey together, and like that's basically it. I mean, they probably have both. Like, Kath Susie has probably been like a guest on Powerpuff Girls because like it's a long running show and they need voice actors every week, but like not like recurring characters or anything.
Right.
But Tara Strong's best friend plays the a character Lore in The Weekenders, which is Tish, played by Kath Susie's best friend. So it's like a 3-way link and not a 1-way link. So
you can't just say 3-way.
Yes, I can.
Especially when talking about cute girls.
Yeah. So Seth cements herself as my waifu because she's really good with kids, and I'm a dad, and I need that. So she like the kids are like, oh, you can't stop here, and she like bends down and is talking to him like, oh, like why are you protecting the flowers? Like tell me about them and blah 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 blah. And she's great, but her doing that triggers a memory on the cliff with Kayam, and he like freaks out about it. But everyone's like, what's the matter? Like he's like gasping for air a little bit, but then before they can resolve that, some soldiers show up and basically just try to fuck with the flowers because they're cops.
Because Numara has become a military state, and they're just like flexing their muscles and being jerks for fun.
Yeah, hate it. So the kids try to stop them, and at one point I thought Mac was going to go Super Saiyan because he just like they even like added in like a whoosh and a camera swoop, and I'm like, holy crap, what's about to happen? But it was just him yelling. So the kids try to stop them, and the soldiers just toss the kids aside. So Jansen steps in to defend them because he has a heart of gold, and the guards get mad at that. So then one of the guards tries to just walk up to the flowers, and I don't remember if it's Cook or Mac because they kind of look a lot. No, it's Cook because I wrote it down later. But this whole first cutscene before I like knew them and loved them, I couldn't keep them straight. But so Cook is like guarding it. And it's like, oh, you can't come past here. And the guard's like, too bad. Like I get to do what I want. I'm the boss around here. So Cook kicks him, like drop kicks him, and it's dope.
Yeah, she kicks the shit out of him. It's great.
It's amazing. So we get into...
at this point you're like, man, this kid is really obsessed with these flowers. Why is that? It's cool. You'll find out in a second, of course.
So then we get into a boss fight, and it's hard because knights are bullshit. The knights just hit you for like 400 damage, and there's 2 of them, and you only have 3 party members. So like you're constantly on the defensive, and it fucking sucks. But because like Seth and Kayam can survive it, but Jansen can't. But it takes down enough of the HP that even putting Jansen on the back row doesn't matter because they'll hit Seth and Kayam the first turn, and then they can hit Jansen for full damage because your guard condition is down so far. And
you notice, I feel like the AI on the enemies in this game is better than most RPGs. Most RPGs are like totally random, you know what I mean? You ever play an RPG and you're like, man, this boss could annihilate me if only it was smart enough to hit the same character every turn. Or like, wow, this mob of 5 enemies would kick my ass if they were smart enough to all focus on one guy. Luckily, they're too stupid and their target selection is just RNG. Mm-hmm. This game, I think it might not be.
Yeah, I think it's
still... They love going after Jansen.
I still think it's heavily RNG, but something about... to make the guard condition system work more, they're like, oh, if they have low guard counter, prioritize people on the back row type thing, because
something like that.
There will be times where
picking on Jansen,
where Seth has one HP and she's about to cast a heal move, and Kayam is at full health, and the boss attacks Kayam, and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
So it still has a bit of the JRPG AI is stupid, but then also it'll attack the shit out of Cook and Jansen, man.
Although this time actually it was Seth that kept dying for me. I don't know why, but for me it kept being like, because Seth has a lot of HP compared to the mortals, but still not as much as Kayam, right?
Yeah.
She's got a lower pool. If I was in a fight with like 5 enemies, it'd be like, yeah, they're all attacking Seth in one turn or something, and it was man, she kept dying.
But the guard fight was bullshit. Not because it was like interestingly hard. It just was like, because the knights are also in the back row, so you can't even like stop them right away. You have to deal with the little dickweeds first, and it's annoying. But so after we kill them, the kids thank us, and they're like, oh, you can come and rest at our house. We're poor and practically homeless, but we live out here in these ruins, so you can come and stay at our house because it's the least we can do. And you're like, okay, cool, this is going to be fine, and it's not.
Also, as you're going past one of the areas you run through is called like funeral docks or something, and you're like, what a nice little descriptive name.
Yeah. I'm sure it's fine. So when we get to their house, their mom is sick and bedridden. But as soon as Keanu Kayam comes in the room, she's like, oh my god, it's you. And everyone's like, what? And then she's like, father. And Kayam remembers, oh shit, it's Lirum. And I'm over here like freaking out on my bed playing this game. Like,
also, shout out to Kayam's voice and facial animation acting for being amazing.
Yeah, it's so good.
He's been stoic this whole game because he's been suppressing his emotions and he's been dead and not wanting to think about the past. And now all of a sudden the past comes rushing back to him. He literally screams. Like, he just fucking hollers because he's in so much emotional pain, and it's amazing.
And he, like, blubbers this whole next scene, and it's so good.
After this point, he's just completely raw. Like, he has no fucking defenses at this point.
Yeah, and it's so good. So then he remembers a memory that it was Gongora that was throwing Lirum off the cliff, which is a really big, important deal. And he and Sarah, his wife, that we find out about, they expect that... they thought that she had died, but she apparently survived somehow and was never allowed to see them again. And so this time, instead of being stoic in a response to his dream like usual, Kayam then is like, Gongora did it. Gongora is the one that tore my family apart. We're going to go fuck up Gongora and find everybody. And it's like, right away, he's like, I'm sharing my memories from now on because, fuck this guy. But,
yeah, I think I want to clarify one thing. It's not made totally clear here, but the idea is that, well, they do say this. They say that Gongora intentionally wiped their memories so that they wouldn't be able to stop him from his evil plan.
Yeah, they say that. They say that in the overnight when they're all hanging around.
But the important thing is that he didn't just throw the Lirum off the cliff for funsies. The way that he wiped their memory was by inflicting unimaginable emotional trauma.
Oh, dope. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's why he did. I mean, I think he might have also cast a spell, but he's like, I'm going to cast a spell and emotionally break you so hard that you get amnesia.
Yeah, that's cool.
So,
cool shit.
Yeah, that's what happened there.
Yeah, so So Lirum is like, oh, I've missed you. Where's Mom? And Chaim's like, shit, I have a wife. I guess I got to go find her. And
awesome.
And so Lirum then sits up, and you can tell it's really hard on her. And she grabs the kid's hand. It's like, it doesn't look like it, but this hottie is your granddad. So he's going to take care of you because I can't do it anymore, but there's something I've always wanted to tell you. And he leans in, and she whispers in his ear, and we don't get to know what it is. And then she dies, and it's brutal.
She whispers, lost in translation.
No, she just whispers, taste the rainbow. So after we're bereft because Lirum just died, this game did its first of many interjecting a playable bit to make you like be able to process the emotions you just had instead of just only being sad for 3 or 4 hours. So we get a meanwhile, and it's raining in Ura, and we get to play as Prince Tolton. And he's at like this big ancestor shrine type thing, and he's praying to his father, and he's like, please give me strength, blah, 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 blah. And so then some mud monsters show up that like the ones that Gongora made last time. And so you have to fight them, and Tolton is a playable character, so he's going to join the party at some point, because why the hell would they do this if that's not true? And
I love how in games like this that aren't like older 2D games, you can tell like you have to put so much work into making a playable character that you know they're not just going to be a one-off for a scene. You know, you're like, yeah, they wouldn't put this much effort into something if he wasn't going to be in the party later.
Yeah, especially because like he has skills and stuff. If he only had attack or something, that would be one thing.
Different.
But he has a full slew of skills, and he's also level 25, and we are currently level 18, and Cook joins the party at level 15. So he will join the party, but not for a bit.
He'll join it later, yeah.
Yeah. So which is cool. Like, I love that it's like me and Maddie were talking about how this game relies on being a JRPG 100% so that it can tell a story about being a JRPG. And it's really cool in that way. And this is one small version of that where it's like, oh no, if you're paying attention, all of these people will join your party. Like in a second, you get to play as Cook, but it's just a wandering around mini game. But if you pause, she has HP and MP and a level and skills, so you know that she's going to join the party too, which is really cool. But yeah, so the mud monsters show up, and we fight them, and then the chairman shows up and says, I sent the mud monsters. And I'm like, no, you didn't. We saw Gongor making them. Maybe everyone has mud monsters, but no.
It's the new fad. It's all the rage.
Yeah, so then we have a cool Legend of Dragoon fake boss fight, which so far the Legend of Dragoon people have shown up in the battle system, because the battle system has elements which are real important, just like Legend of Dragoon, and it has the Judgment Ring system, which is basically a one-hit addition, and now talking boss fights. So there's enough of a stamp of Legend of Dragoon here for me to be real happy. But so all you do is like you talk during the boss fight until talking won't do anything anymore, and you could actually fight him. And so I tried to Undertale it, because he's like the whole time you're just talking to him, and then you get your full attack thing, and so I just defend, but he only has one thing he says at that point, so you're like, yeah, this isn't going to work. So I actually had to kill him. So especially because I was thinking, so from the thing with Lirum, like he didn't throw Lirum off the edge, he like mind controlled Lirum into jumping. So I thought his big thing was mind control, and he was mind controlling Roxanne, which like tracks with most of the scene until the very end of it. And so I thought, I'm not going to kill this guy who's just being mind controlled, but that isn't actually what was happening. So after you kill him, Gongora runs up and he's like, tell me what happened, except he's more like, oh my gosh, what happened? It seems that you had to fight the Chancellor. Oh my gosh. And he's like not surprised at all. And it's obvious that he set the whole thing up.
What a crazy random happenstance.
But Tolton is a dummy, and buys it hook, line, and sinker. I think facial acting is really important in this game, and there are bits where Tolton is like, this guy is lying to me. So I don't think Tolton's actually buying it, but he might be.
I think he totally buys it.
Yeah, I think he might have doubts, which, I mean, he joins the party eventually, so, like, those doubts obviously manifest, but I think he has the doubts, decides against them, and is still pro-Gongora after all of this. But, Gongora is like, well, Roxian was plotting for absolute power, and he came over to my house to gloat that he was going to kill you. And so I broke my house arrest so I could come over and try to stop him. But thankfully, the might of the royal blood in your body let you beat him anyways, or whatever. And he's like, but it's okay because we can just say that Roxian died in an accident. Nobody has to know that you were even involved. And Tolton is like, well, Gongora, you're the only person I can trust. And they walk away, but then Roxian's body turns into mud. And you're like, oh, you, Gongora, you trickster. So we get a meanwhile that shows Roxian in his study furiously writing something down. And I hope that it's... Gongora is the one who killed me. Please, Khaim, you're my only hope, or something. I want it to be juicy. We're having
a meanwhile inside of a meanwhile.
Yes. Meanwhile-ception.
Meanwhile-ception. God, fuck you.
2 times meanwhile combo bob.
Actually, fuck. Yeah, I was thinking both of those in my... I think we were both thinking of the same 2 references, and we both picked the same one. We're stupid. We need to reference more things.
We do.
Broaden our horizons so we can reference more stuff.
Yes. So, as he's writing something furiously, a big-ass snake shows up and eats him. And, I forgot. I'll bring it up in memorable moments. Remind me about the mirror when we get to memorable moments. Okay. Cool. Anywho, so, so the snake eats him, and as the snake is moving away, it turns, looks at the camera, and Gongora's face flashes on top of it, and it's really cool looking. But, so then we're at some banquet hall, and Gongora and Tolton are talking, and Gongora keeps talking about the accident and how it was sudden illness and stuff like that, and Tolton is like, I can't lie. I'm the shittiest liar in the world. I'm going to ruin this. And Gongora is like, you don't even have to talk about it. Like, we'll build you an alibi, and we'll make everything happen, and it'll be okay. No one will ever even know about it. And and he's like, I'm so glad that you survived this, because Gotza would definitely invade if we lost the chairman and the prince at once. And the fact that Gongora has brought up Gotza unbidden in a lot of conversations makes me think that he's they're involved and he's part of it somehow. I don't know if that's right, but that's just
also this
how I
part
feel.
made me think of like in America back a decade ago when it was like, oh, if you do X thing, then that's letting the terrorists win.
Yeah.
Where X thing can be literally anything.
Yeah. Well, if you eat French fries, you're letting the terrorists win.
Yeah. If you don't cover up this murder and reassume the monarchy that everyone worked hard to get rid of to have democracy, you're letting the Goatsons win.
Yes. And so Gongora is dancing around this is a power grab, and you're going to say that the monarchy is reinstated instead of us holding an election. But he was dancing around that until he gets to the very end, and he's like, we need you to be a king so that we can protect Ura in its time of need. And every time he says king in that one, it cuts to Tolton's face, and Tolton looks down at the ground like he's mad because he's a little Republic boy. He's a Republican, but like in a true sense, not in a not in a rightist sense. He doesn't
respond in aghast though. I guess he's just like, I'm so confused and stupid and scared that I'll go along with this. I guess.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like he's talking himself into it, and like it doesn't feel like he's purely a pawn of Gongora. It feels like he's trying to make the best out of a bad situation, but Gongora is real good at inventing bad situations. So, back with Khaim, he has a dream about Gongora, like, making him swear fealty to him, and it's like creepy, and I don't know why I ever doubted Roxanne. It's clearly that Gongora is the villain of the piece. So, of course, this is a 4-disc JRPG, and disc 3 is typically where bullshit happens, so maybe there's still some bullshit, but at least I don't think is Roxanne's fault. So Chaim wakes up, and he talks with Seth about how Gongora couldn't kill them, so he just took their memories because that's good enough, because they learn everything from their experience. So you take away the 1,000 years of experience, and then they're just dudes. And then they rack their brains and remember that there were 4 immortals, and Chaim's wife Sarah was one, and Ming the queen was the other. And so like, we need to go and complete the party. And Chaim cinematically declares vengeance on Gongora, and he's like, I'm getting my memories back, and I'll search all of my memories, and I'll find Sarah, and then both of us will come and punch you in the dick for taking our happiness from us.
That's his exact quote. Yeah. Don't share the exact quote, because it's one of my memorable moments.
Yeah. Meanwhile, though, Jansen is listening in, and it seems like he's spying, and I'm like, please. It seems like he has a heart of gold, and he's already turned against Gongora, but he could be playing the long con, and I'm like, please don't be a bad guy, Jansen. I can defend you being a chauvinist. I could not defend you being a bad guy.
Yeah.
So the next morning, you get to play as Cook, and so they're setting up for the funeral, and they're like, okay, well, Cook, we need you to go get 10 white flowers, and it's just a small little fetch quest. But thankfully, Chaim's run speed is genetic, because Cook can just fucking book it.
They can all just book it so goddamn fast. Yeah, it's very, when making you get 10 things across 2 load screens, you'd think would be a huge pain in the ass, but no, it's a nice little thing.
Yeah.
Move over, Sonic. You're no longer the fastest thing alive.
You get to just stew in your feelings. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Cook and Knuckles go and run around and get all the flowers, and you bring them back, and then Chaim has to do the same exact thing to get 10 sticks, and so you go around and do that, and so then when Chaim comes back, Cook is like, "Oh, thank you, and he's like, "It's okay. I'm your grandpa. You can call me Gramps." And she's like, "You're young and hot. I'm just going to call you Chaim. I can't call you Grandpa. That's weird."
Grandpa, I'm not Grandpa. Grandpa, I'm not Grandpa.
And so the kids say that they were protecting the flowers because they were Mom's favorite, and they figured if they could keep the flowers alive, it would keep Mom alive somehow. And Chaim says that back as a family, they all used to love these flowers, and so their importance to Lirum was probably based on her memories of back in the day, and that Lirum would understand if they cried, because it's okay to be sad. And so everyone cries except for Mac, and that's only important because of one of my memorable moments, so I brought it up there.
Yeah, it comes back later.
So then you get to the actual funeral the next day, and it's a Simon Says minigame, and this is the second time where they're like, everyone is feeling their feelings, so we're going to take you out of it and play the stupid minigame to give you a breather before you cry some more.
Oh my god. Like, I'm watching the cutscenes, and it's really sad, and then suddenly there's a tutorial for a funeral?
Yep.
I was like, alright, well, my feels have been negated by the lack of verisimilitude here.
And the best part is if they wouldn't have voice acted the tutorial part, it would have been okay, because we know like NPCs can talk out of character. NPCs can tell us to press the start button to open our menu. That's okay. We're used to that in a JRPG. But those NPCs don't have full voice acting. So the fact that this guy's like, "Oh, you can press the B button to raise it to the left," and it's like, oh.
Yep.
Okay. And
the funny thing is, once the tutorial is over, I actually think it works really well. But while it's going, you're like, this is weird. But afterward, it's like, oh, I'm participating. More importantly, Mac is participating in this funeral ceremony. And I guess even the tutorial makes sense, because the tutorial, the priest would have to tell Mac what to do, but no, it's still extremely strange.
Especially because at the end he's like, did you understand that? And then you have to pick yes or no or repeat this again or whatever. And it's so silly. So we press BXYA to pay respects, and and then after the funeral, Kayam, in a really beautiful scene, talks about how hard it is to lose everyone all the time. And Mac is like, oh, but you're so strong, so I'm going to grow up and be strong just like you. And it's super duper beautiful.
This part annihilated me.
It's so good, man.
I was fucking dying. Oh my god. Also, a really good song plays, and the scene is long enough that the whole song plays, and that's good because the bridge is really good.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't cry here. I cried at the disc change because happiness makes me cry way more than sadness does. But sometime later, Mac leaves a letter for everyone that he's going to go to the Crimson Forest, where supposedly you can meet the souls of the dead, and he wants to show the flower that he picked for his mom because he's like late for the funeral, and he shows up, and the flowers that supposedly wilt if you pick them, he had like dug around it and put it in a pot so that he could bring it and show it to her at the funeral, but of course it had wilted anyways. And so he's like, well, I think it started. Did it start blooming?
Yeah, it started to perk back up at the end of the funeral scene or something like that.
Yeah, so it started to perk back up. So he's like, okay, cool. Since I missed Mom at the funeral, I'll go to the Crimson Forest and just show it to her ghost. So everyone is like, that's a stupid idea. There's a lot of monsters there, and you're a 8-year-old child. So they're like, I guess we got to go and get him.
A dungeon.
So on the way out, we see that Numara is loading tanks onto a ship, and it's bound for Ura. And so this is one of the things I was talking about, where it's like they do political machinations, and then they don't stop from keep happening just because we're not a part of the cutscenes. And this was like, while we've been away, Kakanis has like knocked Ming out and shoved her in a room and is loading tanks onto a ship, and it's cool. So now that I'm back in the forest, I know everywhere I need to go. Seth and Kayam remember that this was the site of a huge battle back in the day, and the grass and trees stained the earth red. So it's not that you can visit the souls of the dead there, it's that the souls of the dead are haunting the place. So don't do that,
crimes.
Mac. Yeah. So Mac is going to get beat up. There's also a side quest you can do here, which is real fun, because you get to kick every mushroom and you get little crystal shards and you take them back to an artist and it gives you some item, but it's still fun, like searching for all of the mushrooms to kick.
I love how every single quote-unquote treasure chest in this dungeon, there's two. There's kicking the little flowers and then also hitting like the rocks. Almost all of them give you the exact same item. It's just like, another crystal shard, thanks.
Yeah. When you get to the actual dungeon part of the forest dungeon, there's a bunch of regular items. But this first part, everywhere you go, you're like, I wonder what this is. And it's like, a crystal shard. And you're like, got it, thanks. So the first thing I do is I go back to the part that had a cutscene where they were like, oh, we need to come back with someone who does spirit magic, and I go there with Cook, and it doesn't do anything. So obviously was not the way to go, so I go back to the suspicious looking log, and this time Kayam can just elbow it. And but when he goes to elbow it, they find one of Mac's shoes, and they're like, okay, well, we know he's off this way. So we go through the forest down into some ruins where a lot of the puzzles are about dodging boulders. There's also what I think might be a puzzle, but I couldn't figure it out, and my guide I looked up in exasperation didn't have anything about it. But there's a big boulder that you can roll around everywhere.
Yeah.
Is there a place to move that?
You roll it onto the elevator.
Okay.
And the thing is, there's two elevators, right? And when one elevator goes down, the other one goes up like a fucking seesaw. Now, I'm sure you see the problem here. The other elevator has an item on it,
Oh, okay.
But you can never get that item because you have to, whenever you go on one elevator to go up there, the other elevator goes down, and vice versa. So by putting the rock on the elevator, it makes the elevator move, which moves the other one where you can get the item. Funny thing, the item is like an ancient tablet piece, and I thought, oh, I gotta make sure to remember to put this tablet piece in a tablet piece tablet. And then I promptly forgot. So I don't know what you do with that.
Yeah, I tried that, and I probably, like, the elevators are finicky. Like, you have to walk in a certain spot to trigger Kayam walking to a different spot for it to go. So I probably just didn't put it in the right spot, but that was the first thing I tried.
Here's what you did wrong, and because I had this problem as well. I was thinking, I push on the elevator, and then maybe I get on the elevator, and we both go up to the rock is now at the up place. No, what you probably didn't do, because I didn't realize that I hadn't done this, you have to push the rock onto the elevator and then walk off of the elevator.
It's so janky. There's so many janky things. So
the elevator goes without you, right? That's the whole idea. But it's like, oh, right, the elevator couldn't go because I was on it. As soon as you step off of it, it goes. And I'm like, oh, God, I wasted way too much time on this.
Yeah.
Every week I say I'm going to skip the optional shit in order to save time, and I never do because I can't.
Yeah, it's hard.
Because I'm fucking stupid.
Yeah, like when I realized, there's a left I can make over here, let me first go and find these 3 toys for these kids for the side quest.
I did literally every single fucking Numara side quest. What's wrong with it?
Yeah, it's so dumb. So you dodge some boulders and dodge some golems, and if there's a free healing spot, so instead of dodging the golems, you can level like 2 levels off the golems, which is cool because it's free because of the thing. But unfortunately, Phoenix Downs are not free, and I did not have any for when we get to this next room, which has a boss fight in it. So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so Mac is being possessed by some creepy purple miasma stuff. So Cook runs in to save him, but the miasma turns into a tentacle monster and grabs her. So then we have a boss fight, and it's a really good boss fight. Did you watch the speedrun for this one, Eli?
No.
Okay, it's fine.
I was too busy playing Final Fantasy. I'm sorry.
No, I feel ya. This is one, like, you can skip around when you go, if you ever go back to catch up, but this is one I definitely, like, it's a super involved boss fight, and I really enjoyed it. So it has a whole bunch of tentacles, and Cook is trapped in one of them. So you kill that tentacle to get her back, and then you kill the other tentacles, and you're like, okay, well, now I can fight the thing in the middle. But instead, it uses Mac as a human shield, and the only thing you can target is Mac. So you have to put Mac to sleep, so then you can fight the monster. But the monster can wake up Mac, and Mac also is a party character, so he can wake himself up automatically every 2 to 3 turns. And so it's this MP management, like, defending when it's important sort of thing back and forth. But I had no MP items, and I had no Phoenix Downs, and everyone died except for Kayam, who only has enough MP to cast Sleep once. So he would have to cast Sleep and then guard for 5 turns so that he would have enough MP to cast Sleep again. And everyone died when the final boss only had 50 HP left. So literally one hit from Kayam is all I would need, but I would do Sleep, and then Mac would just get a lucky dice roll and wake up the turn I put him to sleep. Or the monster would use Chime and wake him up the turn I put him to sleep. And so I could never get in that last hit. It was just a bunch of defending to get MP because I had that move on Kayam. It's a special skill. And so I did that enough to just barely eke out a victory. I did not deserve it, but I took it anyways.
So, fun fact, I don't know what happened, because the first episode, and also last episode, even though I wasn't here, I was having a bitch of a time with the bosses. I was barely beating them. They were really kicking my ass. I did manage to beat the one last week on my first try, but, you know, it was actually a brilliant boss fight, and I loved it, but it was very difficult. This week, I don't know. I don't think I grinded or anything, but it seems to have flipped. I just blazed through all of these with zero thought. The soldiers from earlier were a piece of cake. And for this, maybe I just accidentally... Maybe I'm slower at dungeoning than you, so I happen to gain more levels. I don't know. But anyway, this one... So first of all, I'm stupid. I didn't realize those tentacles. Now I understand. You hit the one with Cook to free her. That makes perfect sense. I was hitting all the ones but that one because I didn't want to hurt Cook. So none of that gimmick worked at all for me. I just had a battle where I didn't have one of my party members, and I was just like, okay. I hit the other tentacles, and then finally all that was left was one with Cook, and I was like, I guess I have to hit it, even though I thought the point of this was to not hurt Cook, and then I hit it and it frees her, and I didn't even think at that point, oh, I did it wrong. Like, I didn't realize until just now that I was doing it wrong. And then it got to the part with Mac, and everything you're saying makes total sense, but I didn't do any of it. I think I may have just hit him. Here's the thing. I was literally falling asleep at this point. And somehow just managed to mash buttons and get through it. So that's fun.
Weird.
I don't know. I don't even remember what it is that I did.
Because you get a game over if you kill Mac. That's the whole point of using him as a human shield. So I have no idea what you did.
And I remembered you saying that he was going to sleep. Are you sure you can't just attack behind him?
It didn't let me.
Okay, well, I don't know what I did. Because I didn't put Mac to sleep,
maybe it's not just sleep. It's like sleep and paralysis, and you had managed to paralyze him with a critical hit or something. But I have no idea. I've literally no idea.
I have no fucking clue what happened last night when I was playing this game. I was just, I don't know. Okay, whatever.
So I think
that's my story.
So I think he has 4 targetable tentacles, but if you do Prism, it'll also attack him. So maybe you had done something with Prism, because I know you probably did, because it was a group of enemies, and why would you use anything but Prism in a group of enemies? So maybe that had cast Sleep or something.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is there a more boss after you kill the tentacles?
Yes.
Huh. Yeah, no, I have no clue. I was in a fugue state for the whole thing.
Yeah, I couldn't
but
tell you.
Somehow I managed to beat it. Yay!
Good job. So, yeah, I definitely want to watch a speedrun now to see if I'm really wrong or if Maddie is magic.
I remember that being how it was last time I played the game. I wish I had a video of whatever the fuck I did.
Maybe yours is a new speedrunning strat. Like, maybe there's a way to do it.
And not understand the video game.
So, yeah, it was real cool because of having Relax on Kayam. And then also, Kayam is real bad at magic. Like, Jansen will use magic, it'll do 400. Kayam will use magic from the front row where his attacks are supposed to be stronger and will do 25 damage. Kayam sucks as a magic user, so I didn't have any equipped on him. But thankfully, you can adjust your equipment mid-battle, which includes the apprentice earrings, which gives you level 2 black magic. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can use sleep because I just went over to my equipment and attached that to Kayam to be able to do the battle. And I really felt like I was using everything this game was throwing at me in terms of battle in this one, which was really cool because it's like a lot of games, and including this one for the most part, you kind of just hit attack and like everything else is there to do it better, but attack is good enough. And like
especially for Seth and Kayam, because attack is the best thing for them usually.
Yeah, because they don't have any of Tolton's moves yet, which they will eventually, and that'll definitely be factor into the equation. Tolton had so many cool melee moves, but like even in Dragon Quest, where like there's a lot of cool things and you should be doing a lot of things, the things that you do usually just let you spam attack better.
They supplement your attacking. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like very rarely am I like, okay, well I need to like I love the Disgaea games, but Disgaea games are definitely one where it's like, oh yeah, walk around and use your special moves. You can attack and pick up party members and throw them and have special items you can use and spells and this and that and the other, but really all you need to do is walk up to the bad guy and use your special move. And that's kind of not happening here, which is really cool. But like I was swapping equipment and using the correct ring and attacking the certain thing and using spells, and
This game does
cool.
what Final Fantasy X very clearly did for, like, half of it, which is that every boss battle is fucking good, and every single one has a weird gimmick and is really well designed, and it's one of the highlights of the game. And FF10, like, half of them are like that, and the other half are just like, yeah, here's a boss.
Yeah. This one's real cool. So... Yeah, so when we finished the battle, Max says he was just trying to find Mom's soul and show her the flowers, and so they're like, "Well, Kayam, what happens when people die?" And he's like, "Santa Claus is fake."
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, souls aren't real. Sorry, God isn't real.
Yeah.
Sorry."
But
Life is meaningless.
He then does share similar theology to me, where he's like, "Yeah, souls are fake." But they live on in your memories, and that's twice as good. Yeah. So memorize them. Like, I'm not religious, but if I were, I would probably like follow specifically like Mexican Catholicism, because Dia de los Muertos is such a good, like, such a good like holiday. It's so good to like, oh, well, you have to remember all the people and talk about them because that keeps their story alive. And I'm like, that's not even like a religion thing. That's just good.
Real, yeah.
That's just a good thing to do, yeah. Although right after Time gives that speech about how souls are fake, we then find out that
souls are fake news.
Souls are definitely not fake, I guess.
Yeah. So
the liberal media wasn't lying to him.
So he goes to grab the flowers so they could go and put them back. But then a huge magic-y force shows up, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, another boss fight." But Seth is like, "No, the last one felt evil. This one feels tranquil and peaceful." And so then sad piano starts, and the flowers grow to cover the whole room. And the kids are like, "Oh my god, it's Mom!" And Seth is like, "It's so warm." And Kayam is like, well, the strength of your love for Lirum, let her soul inhabit this place. And it's real beautiful because souls are not fake. And then Luna asks us to save our game and switch discs. And we do one of those two things and stop for the week.
If you believe hard enough, they become slightly less completely made up.
Yeah.
Also,
clap
in this
your hands
scene,
if you believe in souls.
Yes.
This scene is the song that plays during the scene I want to mention is my favorite song of the game. This beautiful 6/8 sort of string tune. If you read all of the stories, the short stories that are all sad, it shows up all the time. It's like this song plays at the end of the story, and it's the part that makes you sad. The funny thing is, if you don't do the stories, if you're just watching the game, like watching the cutscenes and stuff, you only hear it like once or twice. It's like you hear it here, maybe one other time. So it's funny how this very, very important emotional song is a different amount of big deal in the game depending on whether you do the optional content.
Yeah.
Although it has a B part where it has a really cheesy key change and like a weird major key part. Well, it's all major key, but whatever. And that part's a little cheesy. So when it's playing during the stories, they totally cut that out and just loop the A part. They're like, no, boo, you can't keep being so damn cheesy.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, I'll play that song right now, and then we'll talk about our memorable moments. Yeah. So, memorable moments. Eli, what did you have? I know you had a couple that I had, so I wanted you to be able to say them first.
I I love when they find Mac while he's being possessed, and the first thing out of Jansen's mouth is, "Wow, puberty's weird."
It's real good.
It's the funniest joke in a JRPG. Like hands down.
Yeah.
I have never seen something that has made me cackle more than that.
Yeah. As someone
It's
who's...
so amazing to have a character actually commenting on the things that you see and acknowledging that they're weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
As someone who has been through puberty twice, I can say definitively that is exactly how it works, and it sucks. It sucks both times. Would not recommend. 0 out of 10. Would not puberty again. And
I don't know. I think I might do it a third time.
Wait, figure out another gender that you can switch to.
The forbidden gender.
Gender.
I found the secret gender, you guys. It's DLC. Gender is pay to win.
What else? Let's see. I just thought the funeral tutorial was hilarious. Like, it was really stupid that they put that as part of the cutscene.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they, like, they're really taking me out of the moment. Like, I was all emotional, and then he starts talking about if you get separated, if you get lost, blah, 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 and just, like, you have to do it exactly like this, and, like, They could have found a way to make it more real sounding if they were going to put the tutorial in there, but it just...
They could have either made... Yeah.
It sounds like a video game tutorial.
One thing I love about the thing is, as part of the tutorial, they mention... Oh, but we didn't want this to just be a solemn event. We had to gamify it, so everyone's is going to be different good luck. Instead of like, oh, you need to do this 4 times. Like in Final Fantasy VII, there's a marching minigame that's kind of like this, where you have to press the buttons to match the marching exactly as everybody around you is doing it. But like, it's the same every time, so you get your rhythm and you're good, and then you just march like it's no big deal. So they didn't do that here to make the minigame disappear. They're like, no, it's Simon Says. You got to see what the other person's going to do and react.
Yeah.
It's so silly.
Yeah,
I love it.
It really pulled me out of the moment, but,
I think they could have either made it more tutorial, more just like you said, just like a few quick little text boxes instead of making it like a cutscene for the tutorial, or made the gameplay of the minigame easier and more simplistic. That way, you didn't need a tutorial.
Yeah.
Make
like
it like
if you just
baby
had to
easy, like barely interactive. I like it being interactive, but it should have just been like barely interactive. You know?
Yeah. What I thought would have been, which is what I thought was happening until the button prompts showed up in the dialogue. I thought you were just going to move the stick because you can move it a little bit, and so I thought you were going to just move it with the control stick. Which, if that was all you had to do, that would, like, even if they still did the up, down, left, right, but not having to do the button with it, you would have figured it out to be like, oh, you bring it over to match, and it would have been groovy. It's just so weird in its current state that I love it, and I don't want it to change at all.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Also, the funeral director could stand to go to a Toastmasters meeting or two, because that guy was moving around a lot. Like, he's just swinging his arms as he's talking, and I was like, this is not proper solemn conduct from someone doing a funeral.
Well, maybe it is in their culture.
Yeah, maybe I'm the insensitive one here. Maybe
so
flap arms to pay respects.
Speaking of funerals, though, we didn't actually talk about it, and I think it's really cool. So what they do is it's like a Viking funeral sans fire, where they load them up in a boat and set them off to sea. But they're hung on the boat ramp by a bunch of ribbons, and so Kayam, her father, is holding a bunch of the ribbons, and then there's 2 more that tie it to the place. And so after doing the the lighting the torch thing with Mac, they come over and they burn one of the ribbons. And so they all say something beautiful about how much they love Lirum, burn a ribbon, and then after all of Khaim's ribbons are burned, the kids did the last two to finally set her free, and she goes off into the water. And it's really, really beautiful, and I really love it. And I almost want to go that way, except that would still be expensive, so just cremate me and shove me in a box somewhere.
It's pretty expensive, yeah. No, I love the funeral scene. I think it's really beautiful. I love that you get so much of this injection of this culture. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure it's specifically like Numaran culture.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a thing that you do in this city because they're all very water-based here, and very spiritual. And yeah, but they explain, like, you know, these ribbons symbolize the physical ties that or bonds that tie her to this world, but you have to sever them intentionally in order to strengthen your emotional ties, so never forget her. And what I love is how all these NPCs that you have never seen before show up. And that's cool. It's like, you just got here. You don't know this person's the last 15 years of this person's life, but these are her friends. Mm-hmm. And they're the same NPC models we've seen from the town we were just in, except now they're wearing the weird masks for the funeral. So it's like, oh, those townspeople live nearby, and they all cared about Lirum. She was part of this community, and they cared for her, even though we don't know the exact nature of it. Yeah, it's so... And they take their fucking time with it, and I think it's really good.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. So, one of mine, speaking about the funeral, before we move on to my funny ones, is after Lirum is set into the water, Cook comes up, puts her arm around Mac, and is like, "I thought you would have cried more." And Mac, just staring at the ground, says, "Me too," which is like the realest fucking thing. I almost never cry at funerals, and it's always just like, I'm like,
I've
why?
been there.
Why do I not do this? But like my mom, who's not even dead, like the other day, I like hurt myself or something, and my mom was a nurse, and so I was like, oh, I should ask mom. Was like my gut reaction. I'm like, mom's an invalid. She has Alzheimer's, so I can't call mom, and like that made me cry. But like, at someone's funeral, burying their body, I'm usually like it's nothing. And
Even so, before my transition, like, and I still cry a lot because I'm a big fucking baby. But it was way worse before my transition because estrogen does that, apparently. So
It does.
Yeah, both of my grandfathers passed away when I was younger. One in 2001 and the other in 2006, and like I mean I wasn't super close to them, so maybe that was part of it, but like I was just kind of there. Like it wasn't really, I didn't really have any sort of emotional response. But yeah, like if like I had a dream the other night that my mom had died and I woke up sobbing. And like it took me weeks to stop crying every night after putting Boots to sleep. But I couldn't. I have not cried at a single funeral I've gone to, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's solemn, not sad.
Yeah.
And
I largely cry empathetically, so I cry when someone is sad.
Yeah.
When someone else is sad. If something sad happens to me, I kind of just have a weird stoicism, usually.
My parents...
But if someone...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's it. I was saying, but if... Okay, there's been a few... Okay, I guess since the estrogen, that's been changing, but... but yeah, I'm more likely to cry as like a mirror reaction to someone else experiencing emotions.
My parents...
Happy or sad.
My parents were telling me when we were in Myrtle Beach for my wedding, we were at dinner one night, and they were telling me about this horrible thing that my cousin is going through with her husband, who suddenly wants to divorce her, and telling her that she trapped him in a marriage by having a
Jesus
kid.
Christ.
Yeah.
Oof.
They've been together
Fucking
for
hell.
like 14 years.
Fucking hell.
And yeah, and this was after she had been in a huge car accident.
Oof.
I burst into tears at the dinner table. I was like, how can they fucking do this? Like... Yeah, so... I don't know.
Yeah.
Emotions are weird
wild.
And dumb.
They're super weird. Puberty is weird.
Yes.
So, on a much lighter note, when I was exploring Numara, everyone was talking about how great of a local art scene they have, and everything that comes out of this local artist salon is the top shit and everything. So I go to the artist salon, and there's an old guy in there, and he's like, "Art in this trashy salon? Don't make me laugh. All these kids do is make out with each other."
I love that one. That was one of mine too.
It's so good.
That sounds pretty awesome, if you ask me.
Yeah. But then the last one I had is when you see the tanks being put on the boat, Jansen was like, I always thought that war was a tankless job.
Oh.
And then he goes, guess not.
Guess not.
Oh, Jansen.
I love him.
I've got some pretty simple ones. There's some more emotional ones, but whatever. I won't go. It's fine. We've already talked enough about that. I'll just share some goofy ones. So when you're exploring Numara, you see a girl on a what do you call it? A gondola. Mm-hmm. And first of all, we haven't mentioned this, or maybe we have. Every single NPC in this game has a unique name, but it's never like a name. It's always like an adjective and then a name. So like angry Alicia. Or no, it is often an actual name. Or waiting so and so. You know.
Yeah.
So
the
this
old
one
guy's is harsh critic Tarlis. So.
Yeah,
and I love it. So anyway,
it's like Pokemon NPC names.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is stood up Minor, and she's on a gondola, and she's like, I'm tired of it. He was the one who suggested going on a gondola ride for our date, but how long does he expect me to wait? And I'm like, y'all, we've been doing this joke since Dragon Quest 1. The joke is that he's in a different place thinking, where's my girlfriend for the date, right?
Yeah,
they had the location wrong. But, like, I love it. Dragon Quest, literally the first RPG has this joke, and we're still putting this joke in every RPG.
On the bright side, though, this one's a subquest, and you can actually tell him to go and talk to her.
the beauty and tragedy of the one in Dragon Quest is that in Dragon Quest, you don't have side quests, so the NPCs are just forever in perpetuity waiting for each other in the wrong location, and you're in peace, and your hero character I guess is an asshole and doesn't say like, hey, she's over there, dude. Because Dragon Quest games are interactive murals. You're not actually changing the world, you're just observing it. But in this game, it's a side quest. So yeah, I'm like, sure enough, a little while later, I see another guy on a gondola, and he's like, absent-minded cactus. This is strange. I'm supposed to meet my girl here, but she's nowhere to be seen. And you're like, yeah, she's fucking over there, you dipshit. What else? Art in this economy. Also, finally, Khaim just has one of the most badass lines I've like ever goddamn seen. When he's real mad at Gongora, he goes, if he won't die, I'll bury Gongora in so much pain he'll wish he was dead.
Damn.
Yeah.
Which is
good
so
shit.
good. And then he follows it up with another line as well. And I just love, it's beautiful. He decided to honor the memory of his deceased daughter by getting revenge.
Yeah.
Because that's a healthy emotion.
Exactly.
But he even says, he's like, the first time I lost my daughter, I was filled with despair. But this second time, I was filled with hope. And you're like, oh, hope, that's so beautiful. He's like, yeah, hope that I'm going to get revenge and kick Gongora's ass. Oh, that's right. The next line is, after he says, I'll bury him so much pain he'll wish he was dead, he goes, we have all the time in the world. And I'm
Which
like,
is such a cool flex for a mortal to say.
yeah, that rules. He's like, oh, we're going to get you eventually. It doesn't matter how long it takes. We're immortal, you motherfucking bitch. Yeah, that's basically it for me. Oh, also, I just realized the whole Mac thing. I mean, again, y'all, I agree that it's definitely weird and dumb, but also, like, it makes me think about how one of the hard things about suffering a tragic loss, whether it's someone dying or something else, is that you still have to do shit.
Yeah.
It's so annoying how life doesn't just stop and let you be sad. Like, if someone dies and you're the one who's, like, the closest to them, you have to, like, plan a funeral.
Yesterday was a terrible tragedy, but today you still have to go to school.
Yeah, it fucking sucks shit.
We've had to bring up that Persona 3 quote in every game so far, pretty much.
Yep. Yeah, and it's just like, something, and it's like makes it even worse. It's like, your mom died, now you gotta go fucking collect sticks and do a mini game. You can't just sit there and be sad. But of course, in this case, and I think the funeral probably, in real life probably too, going through those actions is a way of helping, because it does stop you from just moping. But also, it's like, ugh, I gotta do all this shit. I just want to lay down and die.
Yeah. Puberty is weird.
Puberty is weird.
But that will do it for the week. If you like what you hear, you can check us out online at www.rpgbook.club, which has links to all of our social medias, a link to our Discord, and most importantly, a link to our Ko-Fi, where you can support what we do here and get access to blog posts like our JRPG Canon articles. I am planning on playing Skies of Arcadia for the next one. We'll see if that happens, because that requires me to play games at my house, which I don't often do. So we'll see. But you also can vote on our next game, or be like Francesco and bribe us to play your favorite game. We have recorded one episode of Higurashi so far. Don't know when they're going up, because I'm not editing them. But they'll be up soon for you guys to enjoy. But
for your listening pleasure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, bitch.
For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Altman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddie Webbin.
Puberty is weird.
Toodaloo.
Bye, bitches.
All I have to do to make you actual mad at me is say, Grant Kirkhope is better than Yoko Shimomura.
Don't you fucking shut your fucking mouth hole.